The Last of Us Season 2 is in one of the most unique scenarios of trying to adapt what may be the most controversial video game ever made. And based off of the huge chasm between the audience score with the critics score on Rotten Tomatoes, it looks like we're going to be able to relive 2020 all over again, as the critics score is a stunning 96%, and the audience score is a pathetic 51%. So, who's right? Who's wrong? Well, to keep it simple, I think one way for us to look at it is this. However you felt about The Last of Us Part 2 is probably how you're going to feel about The Last of Us Season 2. If you thought The Last of Us Part 2 was one of the greatest games ever made with the deepest story ever written, then you're probably going to be foaming at the mouth to be able to watch this season. But if you thought that The Last of Us Part 2 was a game that spat on the corpse of a game that you loved, then you're probably going to see The Last of Us Season 2 being more of the same. But even though both the season and the game will be splitting people in a pretty similar manner, it is clear that Season 2 of The Last of Us is an improvement upon the game. Now, I definitely didn't feel this way after the first episode, as that was a completely dull hour of my life that I would like to have back, of annoying characters doing things I don't care about, which is particularly egregious because when you start a story, you need to have a strong hook and an inciting incident to get us, the audience, captivated, bought in, and engaged, which Season 1 of the show did an excellent job of, as it had a great hook with the chaos of Joel escaping the outbreak. That definitely caught our attention, and the loss of his daughter shook us and made us, care about Joel. And then at the end of the episode, you had your inciting incident of Joel having to take Ellie out of the quarantine zone to start their merry adventure. But here in Season 2 premiere, the show didn't do any of that, and couldn't even answer the question of, why should I care? The episode is just scene after scene of Ellie and her girlfriend being complete reckless morons, putting everybody's life in danger. And now, you obviously can start a story with a character who is heavily flawed so that you can tell the story about how they grew, some pretty standard stuff. But when you start off a story with a completely flawed character, it is so crucial that you still have redeemable aspects to them so that we are still bought in and care about them. But here, with Ellie's immaturity and narcissism, doesn't have any charm to it. I'm not even sure what we're supposed to even like about Ellie.
I got bit, everybody!
Hey.
I got bit!
Hey! Hey!
I'm immune!
Whoa! Hey!
Woo!
Here, please hit me as hard as you can. Don't hold back.
At least in Season 1, when she would make her really dumb puns, they were at least funny enough to be able to get some sort of chuckle out of me. But here, with her barbecue joke, that just sort of makes me want to die of cringe.
Hey, what do you call grizzly's ribs? Barbecue.
And because of Ellie being an insufferable brat for the entire episode, I was on the verge of just giving up on the season altogether. Until, well, I heard about what happened in the next episode on Twitter. And I was under the assumption that they would keep poor Pedro around for most of the season, since he really is the only star that this show has, but I was so naive. I was a sweet young child. I was so wrong. And so out of my morbid curiosity, I had to tune in, and I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of the second episode. The production design was outstanding, really impressive, and I was thoroughly entertained seeing the grand scope of the episode, as the biggest change that the show made from the game was adding in this huge zombie war there at Jackson, while Joel is getting his head caved in by Abby.
Hole in one!
But although I was so entertained, it still was nowhere near perfect, as the episode had some really strong plot armor for characters, especially characters like Tommy, who just get to stand out in the open of a street as hundreds of zombies run past him, completely unnoticed and unharmed. And not only that, but there also seems to be a strong lack of cause and effect between the events happening in the episode. And instead, there is just a line of coincidences happening one after another. Like how after 5 years since season 1, a big snowstorm hits Jackson at the exact same time that Abby arrives looking for Joel, at the exact same time that Joel is out on patrol, at the exact same time Abby accidentally wakes up the Horde, at the exact same time an old man at Jackson breaks open a pipe that has the Horde now attracted to the town instead of attacking Joel and Abby. And without all of these cheap coincidences, the plot wouldn't have anywhere to go. And speaking of coincidences, why are there like 1 million infected in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming? Don't know. But the one thing I do know is that now that they made the brilliant idea of killing Joel, the show is now stuck with its least compelling character to carry on the rest of the series. So, I guess, good luck with that.
Thanks for watching
ダックファインダー
on YouTube. For more premium content, subscribe.
Just like the simulation.
Happening one after the other. I'm sorry, Jar Jar.